who you are and your relationship to the fair and all?
My name is Lily Morris. My husband was the organiser and lessee of the Leominster May Fair. He is from his father. It goes back in generations. Like my husband's father had this, and he bought it off a Con stud. And after he died, then my husband took over. And now my sons are taking over because I lost my husband nearly 3 years ago. And they're sort of taking over from it. And it going in generations, it is. But not, I've got my grandsons coming up. The history of my husband was Henry Abraham, called, but we call him Habe for short. Now I've got my son is called Habe, and he's got a son called Habe, and this is how we go back in the generation to go on forward. And this is how it's been going for a long time.
So how long's your family been a part of the Morris's fair?
I would have been married 53 years, coming up in November, sorry. It would have been 53 years I would have been married. He cheated me really at my 50 years. He only had a month to go, but he couldn't help that. He said sorry, but there's not much I could do about it. And since then I took over, and then I thought I must let my sons and daughters come into it. Joanne's the oldest, Alison, then comes David, my son over there, then comes my youngest son, Aby, who is now running it with the other three. They are.
That's great. So tell me a little bit then about, you were talking before about how the fair in Leominster wasn't around for a little while. Can you tell me about when it wasn't here?
It wasn't in the street. It took 23 years for the bypass to be built. And we've got to admit, the council who was there, I can't remember the gentleman's name now, they honoured the contract, what they said they would do. And they let us back in the street for 2 years. And we'd done the 2 years, and they said, we'll do another 2 years. They done that. And then we asked for a 10-year contract. But we got a 7-year contract. Now our contract finished, now we're here for next year. It's a new contract supposed to be made now, coming up. Keep fingers crossed, hope it do. But it's all changed, it's all changing. Where we used to know the people, we've got all different people coming into it, and some people don't really understand it. Like we had the disabled children, learning children this morning at 10:30. We give them the freedom of the fair. And a lady said to one of my daughters, we didn't know this was going on. And she said, it's been going on 35 years with the children. And they didn't know nothing about it. And it's the first time they've come. And they really enjoyed it. They did. And they're hoping it'll continue for it, for all these children. Which, what we do, we don't publicise it for anywhere like that. It's only, we put our notice out for the schools and the hospitals with children who couldn't really come, who wants to come to see. Money can't buy that. Money can't buy the faces, they're smiling, how they're laughing, eating candy floss. And like when my husband was alive, they presented him with a book 30 years ago, or 35, something like that. We call it his life story. To him it was his life story on this book, where the children come, and we got photos, Joe still got it, and they signed their names and the letters we had thanking us. And that's been going a long time. And this is what we told these people today. And we hope to keep it going. We hope to keep the fair going. We hope to get the contract, if we can get it, keeping fingers crossed. But apart from that, it's still here.
Can you tell us a bit about your about your family's relationship with John Easter and how that came about. Can you tell us the story you were telling us back there about how getting it?
Yes, my husband met John a long time ago, and he said, "What's up, Abby?" Because that's what we used to call him. And he said, "I've lost my ground down there. They've took it off me." So he said, "Oh," he said, "what are we going to do about it?" So he said, "I don't know." He said, "Where would you like to go?" And we was in the front of the cathedral. And he said, "I'd like to stand here." He said, "Leave it with me." And my husband had another meeting. He called AB in and he had another meeting. And then my husband had to go to London. So me and my daughter come. And like she explained, we nearly got killed on the way, going there. And he said, "Oh," he said, "I'm glad to see you two again, you know." And he said, "Thumbs up." He said, "We'll have a cup of tea to celebrate." So he said, "What would you like it? The showman's way or our way?" So I said, "What would you prefer it, John?" He said, "The showman's way." And he said to me, "Would you like a ciggy?" I said, "You mean a cigarette?" He said, "Yes." I said, "No, thank you. I've given up smoking." And he said, "You don't mind if I have a cigarette?" I said, "No, not at all." And he said, "Right, it's all past. You can come," he said. And he said, "If it go inside the cathedral," he said, "we put it inside the cathedral." And he said to me, "What stalls? What side of stalls you got?" Which we call the out stalls. That's what we call stalls across there. And I said, "Oh, I've got a few stalls." He said, "Would you like to build them up out here in the cathedral?" And I said, "Well," I said, "it's all according." And my husband said, "It's all according." So Abby said, "Well, what do you mean by the cathedral?" He said, "The shadow of the cathedral." He said, "I will give it to your family." Which we said, "No, we're satisfied what we got. We'd like to just have the Taban, what we called, the Mexican art, what we called it. We'd like to just have that on the cathedral grounds." He said, "Have it." So they went and celebrated. The two of them, well, I had a drink with them, but we left them to it. Not only John was there, his culprits was there, and what I call them, the monks, is what they there. They all got drunk. So we thought, which way can we get these home? So one of my sons said, "We got the pickup outside, Mum." I said, "Right. One go one way and one go the other way." They took John home first, and then they took my husband home. But the two of them was up the next morning to go to London. They were up 5 o'clock that morning to go to London. They was, and to have the things signed for them and come back. And my husband was on there, but we could have kept it. But my husband said, "No, we're the showman." He said, "We're in the Showman's Guild." He said, "It's only right we should let the Showman's Guild see what they got to say about it." And then this other street, Owen Street, come up in Hereford. And he said, "We'll move to Owen Street," which we have done, moved to Owen Street. And then the Showman's Guild took the front of the cathedral. But it was only my husband and me and my daughter that got that position for them. And I don't know if they liked it or not, I've got to be honest with you. But we was the one who got it. And that was the main part. We up towards the fair to help them. The donations and everything, what they collected off the people, what was around for it. And they was very well satisfied with it. They was. And that's been going back a few years. But unfortunately, at the same time, my husband's cousin got killed. It's one of the dancers, young Chris Danter, because we used to call him. And he got killed on the Brecon Road. He got killed. And it was a good day, but it was a sad day.
Was that on the same day then?
That was on the day we was building up, as that young boy got killed.
What happened?
Well, Chris got killed as they were building up, like erecting all the machine up. And a message come through to my husband that his cousin's been killed. And that's one of the Dante's boys what's here now. His son's here. And his son is following his father like a teak. He is. you'll know when Chris is around. And so, like I said, it was a good day and a bad day. We couldn't really celebrate, really, because it was a sad day.
So was this the first time you were putting the bride on the
Yes,
cathedral close?
on the cathedral close, that's when it happened. But when they said Chris, because my husband had a brother called Chris, and he thought it was him first. But then they pointed out it was one of the Dantas boys. And that was like his mother's sister's boy. It was.
Can you tell me a little bit about because there's the Morrises and the Dantas, isn't there? Can you just tell us a little bit about how that works? Because obviously for people who don't know the fair, how does that
Well,
work? Can you explain it?
Yes. My husband's mother was a Matthews. And she had a sister called Katie. She had a few sisters. And they all married different people, but one married a Danta. And that's how it was relation to. It was. And that's how they come into the business, really. It was. Because I believe that Mr. Danta, he was like an outsider. He was what we call an outsider. And like my husband's father, he was from Risca. He owned the pub. He was there. The pub's still there now, and the names are still up on it. But he loved the fairground, and that's what he made his business in. He did. And that's how come the Dantas and the Morrises are related. It is through sisters. It is. But
So tell me a bit more about your friendship with John then. 'Cause you said tell us about when the fair used to come.
John used to come out, at 5 o'clock in the morning. He'd walk down from one street to the other street and meet and shake everybody's hands as he's going down. And then from that, he'd go back. And when his children was growing up, like I said, he fetched his children. And they used to come out to the fair. He loved the fair. He was from London. And he was a homestayer to make people be inside, and he was trying to make them happy, put like dances on for them, or clubs or bingo, whatever they used to call him in them days. I don't really know. But yes, and he was a fantastic man, and also his wife was. I met the other new bishop who come in, John, and they were very nice as well. But unfortunately, I wasn't very well, and I haven't got in much contact with them since, you know. But I'm hoping I should get back there and see him, who's in power now, really, because I've been keeping it up with the cathedral, hearing about the news and what they've been doing with it and everything. But apart from that, like I said, he was a fantastic man. You can't take that away from him. And he's buried in the cathedral at Hereford. And also, Bridget, his wife, she can be when anything happens to her, she can be buried in the cathedral as well. She can. So we learn these things. We
Tell
do.
us a bit more again then about the story about Pauline Davis.
Oh, Pauline.
Leinster Fair,
Yes.
getting it back in. Tell us that.
We've been coming here. I was coming here when I was a little girl. We used to open down Church Street a long time ago. We used to have this Church Street down the town as well. And of course we lost it out the street. And we had to go down the car park because of the new road going through. And they kept promising we'd come back, but it was going on and going on. And this lady, Pauline Davis, we didn't really know at first. But she remembered my husband when they was in school. He couldn't remember her probably, but she remembered Abby. And it was in the papers that she's getting this petition up for the fun fair. So my husband said, we've got to go and meet her. So we went and met her. And it was her and Ben, her husband, because he was the mayor. Ben was. And it scoped from that, really. And she fought and fought with petitions. Anyhow, she got it back. She really got it back. And we've been friends ever since, we have. And I went and seen her the other day, and I could have cried because I think to myself, she's not going to come back to where she was. You know, to look at her there now and what she was. And I said to the council, you know, they've got to give some more appreciation to that lady. She was a fantastic lady. She was in everything what was going. She was. And she sort of grown up. My children grown up knowing her and her children. She just lost her son 18 months ago. I think that's what done her, really. She did. But I can't say no more about her, really. I can't, because it makes me feel so sad what's happened to her.
But this is a great kind of legacy that she's left.
Oh, yes, she have. She really have. If it wouldn't have been for her, I think we would have had more fight on to get into the streets. But she fought and she had people at Hereford. She was out at Hereford getting petitions and everything for us. And money don't buy that. Money couldn't buy that woman's, what she done for us. And like I said, she's a fantastic woman. Like I say about John Easton, she's another one. You can't buy friendship like that. You can't.
I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions.
Anything you want.
Can you tell me your name and who you are and how long, what your ride is and how long you've been doing it?
I'm 47 now in May the 15th, and I've been coming to Lemson and Hereford all my life. This is my out scouter ride, and I've got 3 little kids, 5, 3 and 2 I have, and my wife, so I'm just following on from my dad and my granddad. So I'm the fourth generation of our family. I am, so just carrying on as I only know this. It is.
So tell us a bit about what it was like growing up with the fair and what that life was like.
Well, we think it's the best life in the world, we do. If you wasn't born into it really, you wouldn't do it, because it's a bit crazy. The hours is not normal, you know, and when the weather's like this, it's nice, but it's in different places. We're all here we're lucky, most of us are cousins. We are, so there's about 5 people what ain't, but the rest of us are all first or second cousins, so it's like we are one big family, you know, so it just makes life easier. It do.
And what was the ride when you were growing up that your family had?
Well, we used to have a Noah's Ark, they called it, you know, that's the earliest one I can remember, you know what I mean. We used to bring it here. It used to stand here a long time ago before they moved it out the streets into the gaswork car park. We used to stand right by here, and then we had it my memories from the Ark, as we call it, we turned it into the waltzers, and then after we done that, we had a Trabant ride, Mexican app, what used to stand down in the corner by the bank. It even stood on the front of the cathedral once in Hereford. It did, because the late bishop and my dad and mum was really good friends. You know, and the bishop with Hereford, the late bishop, he loved the fair, people. He loved the way of life. He just loved everything about the fair, so he granted that. And then we went on to that. We had a pirate ship, we did, and then we still got now a travelling reverse bungee. What flies up in the air about 150, 200 feet in the air. So no.
What do you think the significance is of having the fair right in the middle of town?
It's tradition. It's our livelihood. This is where our grandfathers started. You know, this is where they started. And if you move them out of town, it's the same as everywhere else. It would die. You know, you look at now, they're building shops and precincts out of towns, but it's killing the towns. Where we're from, Gloucester, they've done the old the markets and things like that. It's killed the centre of Gloucester. You know, Hereford, it's the same principle, but what they've done there with the new market. If you go down by McDonald's, there's more shops shut down in there, and the fairs would do the same. They would just die out. And this country, history means a big thing to us, and our culture. You know, like our history is like the royal family. We must keep everything. We've got to alter things, and things got to move with the times, but we must keep our history. Because if not, this country would be. We might as well do away with Shakespeare when we go to Stratford. You know, we do Stratford Mop completely through the middle of Stratford, one end of the town to the other, bigger fair than what's at Hereford and here. You know, and Shakespeare, the fair's been going there as long as Shakespeare was alive. You know, and then we got fairs at Abingdon Fair, the longest fair in this country. I think it's like 1.5 miles, 2 miles long in a straight line. You know, and these fairs have been going that long, and different people. It's like here. My dad went to school here in the old gasworks thing, and my Uncle Billy down there. They went to school. People here they grew up with, and they're friends. Cousins of ours married a lady. She used to live in the corner shop here. You know, and they've married people from here. They've been to school
Uncle
here.
Ed married from here, didn't he?
Yeah, you know, like we're all friends. We're not strangers in this place. You know, when people look at us, especially Dad, because he would talk for England and drink that much tea, he'd visit everybody in the shop before we pulled in the street, and they knew we was coming because Abe's here having a cup of tea. You know, so it's all our history.
As
our
I said,
culture.
when they got drunk at Hereford.
Yeah, with the bishop.
Faltering backwards, getting killed.
Yeah, you know, the late bishop, we had to take him home to his palace. The late bishop of Hereford, his hobby was the trains, the Hornby trains. He had a full set in the palace he smuggled in. And when my dad used to go and see him, he'd always take him a piece in. You know, and that's, you never buy these, but it's all true stories. And that's what's good about us, you know.
Another thing about it is when you look at the people's fair, they don't have to spend a penny if they don't have to. They can just come and look and at the lights, and they loved it. Not the young, the old as well. And this is where we find that's where it's a lot better. We wouldn't get that down the car park or into a field, because they will walk out into the town. Last night it was nice for you last night, wasn't it, David?
Yeah. But I mean, there used to be a gentleman in Hereford, a showman. In the war days, he opened in the middle of Hereford on his own, because as it's all chartered, Albert Barton, you know what I mean? You know, history goes back that far, you know.
And Alf Peters did, didn't
yes,
he? Alf Peters.
You know, so when people look at us, there's a lot of history in us, a lot of this. And some of us are from the local towns where we've been. Married in, like I said, married each other, so that's just the way it carries on and builds stronger.
Because isn't the Hereford, I don't know about the Hereford fairs, 900 years old in a couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. So
it's the charter of the fairs. It is.
You know, and for what we pay, the rent for the council, we don't go there for free. And our paperwork and the things, we don't get nothing for free. You know, and if you look at Hereford, or if you look here Saturday night, at say 9:30, and this town's packed, and then you come here Sunday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, you won't find a cigarette butt and you won't find the fair.
No.
It's completely gone. And when you get the continental showmen come over here and they look at us the way we do it, they think we're mad. Because in the continent, they stop there for 3 months in the middle of town. They do. You know, and they think...
And they put the water and the phones on for them.
Everything's on, and they think, how do we come in? Like we come in here Wednesday night, work so long, get up Wednesday and open, and then it's all gone. Saturday night, and Hereford Fair is amazing. You watch Hereford Fair, when the fair's built up, and you think, give it so many hours, the fair's gone. And the cleaning up, and the showman cleans it up, and it's spotless, you know, and that's what we love doing it, because we're mad, but that's just the way it is.
Rain, blow or snow, we do it.
That's right.
That is what it's all about, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. You know, the late bishop, when he was around, he used to drink with the showman, go and find out where they was having a drink.
Yeah.
You know, and he'd have a drink, then he'd go back, you know, like, that just don't happen here or Hereford, that happens all over the country. You know, there's Cambridge Fair, there's the Goose Fair, Nottingham, the Town Moor Fair in Newcastle, all traditional, all where families has gone for hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, and that's why we're so passionate about it. You know, that's why we would fight.
That's the pageantry of it.
Yeah, that's why we would fight to the end for these places. Means it ain't just our business, it's our way of life. And we want to keep it for our kids, my 3 little kids now, my brother's kids, my sister's kids. You know, we got to keep it with the lamps of people here.
Have you got me?
Give us 2 seconds. I don't have this camera long.
Ah.
We're good.
Okay, yeah.
If you go back to Hereford Fair, you go back to Nottingham Fair, you know Newcastle, you'll see all side shows, small side shows. You'll see, like Stevens's, they had like a parading show. That's when the girls danced on the front, doing the can-can. They had that. And then you got the cowboy one. What's his name?
You got Appletons.
Appletons.
Appletons would do, let's say, they would have the smallest man in the country.
Yeah, the little lady,
you know,
wasn't she?
And then you would get Uncle Ronnie Taylor
With the boxing booth.
with a boxing show.
He had,
He had on his boxing show, I think it was Newcastle Town Hall in Nottingham, he had Muhammad Ali do an exhibition. And there's a gentleman in Gloucester, this is what he's known by Black Eddie, and he's actually been, Black Eddie and Uncle Ronnie and Aunt Lil was invited to Muhammad Ali's wedding, and he was going to pay, but Aunt Lily Taylor did not like flying, so they wouldn't go. And Black Eddie started with the fairs. He's from Cardiff. He started with the fairs when he was about 14. He started with the showman, and he moved to different ones, McCohen's, and he ended up with Uncle Ronnie Taylor. And Aunt Lil took him really as one of their sons, and he worked and he lived with them. But Aunt Lily and Uncle Ronnie was actually on the show with Muhammad Ali, and he thought the world of them. You know, like he took to them. You know, and he's had on his show he had most of the Welsh great fighters on his boxing show, all around and all around the country. Nottingham, he had some of the world's greatest when he was coming up. I didn't know there was going to be the world's greatest, but
they are the world's greatest.
There was some of the world's greatest shows on it, you know. So, yeah, the shows, it was all round. But there is in Dingles, there is a museum for fairground stuff, and it's got all them kind of shows in there, and the old fair rides, and it is fantastic to see. It is. But
When did they stop then? Why did they stop those?
Well, the generation changes, as you say. The teenagers wanted something different, like they did when the rock and roll come and everything. It all had to change, and this is where the change started to come. We try to cater for the old and young. If you notice our rides, it's mostly press button now. Some of them are. Some you still got to build up. Like my sons, you have to build up, and you've got to go up ladders to get up there. But like this Dodgem, it's a press button. This is where it's all changed from. Where we had the steam engines, we've got lorries, we've got sets that you can't even hear them when they're running now. And that's how it goes. It's going up to a different age, a different way of life again.
yeah, the showman's moving with the times.
It's moving with the times, and that's what it is.
The showman will move with the times.
Where we had the little shows with the little woman and the sheep with 3 legs and things like that, or the man could tell you this, or sawing him half. That's history. It's still there, but that don't come on the fairgrounds now because. And now you couldn't put it on the fairground because they'd step in and say, no, it's too cruel. You can't have that. Like they stopped some of the circuses with the animals and everything. America still uses them all. And like I said, when you're training horses, when you see them all on these, what they're doing on these shows, they're fantastic because I love watching them. But they're still performing, aren't they? But some people want to stop them. And we can only work so many ways on it, but we've got to go on a different outline on it now.
Yeah, you've got to go with the times.
We've got to go with the times.
The first lamp bulb that ever come around was on a fairground. You know, first
On
time
a steam engine.
On a steam, when they seen it like electric, you know. So people move with the times, and the fair people has moved with the times, and they're moving with the times. You know, because we don't want it to die.
We opened in the war, which you call the Big Top in Birmingham. Showman's done a lot of work. They built the Iron Bridge in Gloucester, what went across the water. They built that. We had boys that went on the plane. They never come back. But people don't know. We've never broadcast it. We don't broadcast things like that.
For what we are, for how many there is, there's about 25,000 of us if you count the kids and the wives and everything. But for what we've done in the war and what we've done, even today, the film Private Ryan, you would never believe this, but there was two showmen in the Midlands
That was it.
The only 2 Private Ryan what was on Normandy Beach was 2 English showmen. And Spielberg, after making that film, he come over because the one was still alive, and he found him, and he told the true story of the Private Ryan, because the 2 brothers was on Normandy Beach having a cup of tea, and the generals was walking past, and an American said to the English, said, "What's happening here?" He said, "Oh, the English." And when they stood up, said, "Having a cup of tea, sir?" And he said, "Only the English. When there's bombs, people dying, there's 2 English soldiers sat on Normandy Beach
And they were showmen.
having a cup of tea, and they were showmen, you know. And lucky enough, touch wood, the 2 of them came back from the war, and they told what a wonderful story, and it's true, you know. And the grandson and the son's still alive today, still doing the fairs in the Midlands area with Pat Collins, you know. And that's it, and that's history, you know. To think two English showmen, and they only named Ryan, and there was only 2 on the Normandy Beach, but they said it was just, you know,
It was a
fantastic. And for the
story,
2
wasn't
for the
it?
2 brothers to come home, it was fantastic. So it's all there, but we just don't. If you want to dig, you can find it, you know. And these fairs, Leicester and Hereford, have got so much history. Even ever showmen, the Scarlett's family, what was in there, the Danta family, Denzel Danta, what had been in the Deakins' family, in Hereford. You know, the history can go back long time, many years, you know.
I was a little girl when I first went to Hereford,
Yeah.
and my mother said to me, "Just stop here a minute, my babe, while I just pop to the toilet." And we had the people coming round, and they said, "How old are you?" I think it was about 9. I was, and I said, "9-year-old, sir." He said, "You shouldn't be in here." I said, "My mum has just gone to the toilet. She won't be long." And they waited for my mother to come back out. She said, "I had to run to the toilet." She said, "I just left my daughter there just to watch to see if there's anybody else." And that's how it's gone from there. It have.
But
At Hereford Fair.
Hereford Fair, there's a lot of history of different showmen from South Wales. They come from the Midlands, from London. You know, there's a lot of history. You know, what I mean, us and these Dantas are here with cousins. We've been going to Hereford all our lives. You know, and Deakins' family has been going there longer than we have. And Mr. Danta in Hereford, Denzel Danta, he's been going there longer. You know, and we got 4 generations. So how far can you go of showmen what actually was alive today, what's been going there all this time? It's a long time. Like I said, and Mr. Barton, what kept it on the wall, his family still owns house in Hereford, you know what I mean? Because he's no more. So it's Hereford would be the place to talk to people more history, you know, on Hereford.
So tell me that. Can you just tell me that one little story again about the guy who kept the fair going during the war? So
But he kept when it was a blackout.
tell me his name.
Albert Barton. It was Uncle Albert Barton. He lost his eye to cancer, so he couldn't go to war because he lost his eye completely. But he used to have a boxing booth many years ago, and he opened, I believe it was in I-Town or on the front of I think it's I-Town, because on a charter we must keep going to keep our charters going. And when it was a blackout, he went up and he set up in I-Town, I believe, and he opened to keep the charter and keep everything going. You know, and I think Uncle Albert was 96 when he died, you know, and he used to have a ghost train at the end, you know, and his family went there for many years, long time, you know. So his granddaughter still goes there now.
So he was the only ride there to keep the fair.
To keep the
going?
fair going.
Charter.
He
We've been
kept-
here to keep the charter of the fair
Yeah.
with our juveniles, because we've got other fairs clashing, so we keep the charter of it, so we don't lose it.
You know, I don't know who done the charter. It could have been Henry VIII. Like you said, it could be 900
And
years.
King Charles II, he
King-
was the one that done it all together.
You know, so
King Charles.
That's-
It rose from him.
that's what it's all about.
It was.
Brilliant. Great.